What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Patros Podcast, where we are embracing healthy masculinity. My name is Allan. This is Jeff, and this is a ministry of Man Up. And we got some good news just about, well, it was last week, but...
Well, by the time this airs, it'll probably be a couple weeks.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it's okay.
But
we can talk about it.
We can still celebrate.
Yeah, we can still celebrate.
Those are the boys.
I'll be celebrating for a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But we're national champs. When I say we're, I have a friend of mine. It's like we talk about our team, and he'll always send me back, "we," like I had anything to do with it.
Have you seen the videos of people going around like OSU asking everybody, like all the fans, like, "Did you go to Ohio State University?" And everybody's like, "No, no." But then there was a guy that he's just decked out in OSU stuff, like face paint and everything. He was like, "No, but I grew up here, and everybody's a Ohio State fan. Everybody's a Buckeye."
That's why they have Ohio against the world. That was their slogan.
Yeah,
Ohio against the world. But you know what's really throwing me right now, Allan, is this. I got like smoke.
Oh, we could turn it off.
In the middle of the thing.
I felt like it was a vibe.
No, it's a vibe. I'm going to leave it. I'm just saying it's kind of, it's a little trippy.
You just said it's throwing you off.
No, but just because I want you to feel bad. But I'm going to.
That's not Christ-like.
Okay.
If you're trying to be a Patros right now, that's not modeling healthy masculinity to me.
You know what? Let me model that. Allan, will you forgive me?
Let's talk about.
Oh, see?
No, because I need Jesus to forgive me, I have to forgive you.
That's right. You got to forgive.
So there's a contingency to all this.
All right. So we are talking about today. This is another in a series on mentoring.
Yes.
We've been talking about in the month of January that it is National Mentoring Month. And so we've had a couple of judges on. We've had some people from the Community-Based Care Agency. We've had some of the Man Up staff talking about what they're doing with fathers. And today...
Some people will say that this man that we're about to bring on is the MVP in our Tri-County area.
Wow.
That his name, when Care Portal just says, "Hey, we have a need," that JB will always be there. It's like the bat signal and Batman will show up. They need to have a JB signal.
He does. It's the prime glasses.
And
so, they put the prime
I said his
up
name
in the
already.
Sky. JB's like, I got
so we got
I got to talk
Mr. Jotabe with us today.
Yes, JB Bailey.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
No, thank you for joining us.
Love it.
We're excited to have you on. In all seriousness, though, JB, and we're going to hear your story and your background here in a second, but JB serves as our fatherhood preservation specialist in the Tampa Bay area and helps lead our team in preservation. And what that means is dads who have not been into the system as of yet, but we're trying to help them out so they don't get there.
Or they reunified and we don't want them returning.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
And Allan is not kidding when he talks about the MVP. Of course,
when I heard about...
Everybody is a valuable player.
Yeah.
But only one can be the most. And it might be JB on our team.
Well,
because when we go places...
We hear about.
Yeah.
We were at this private presser for the governor, and somebody comes up to me and just goes like, "Who is JB?" And I was like, "He's right over there." And they're like, "I need to go talk to him because every time on Care Portal, he's taking everything." So he's famous.
He is. But he does a great job. And we're going to get into that today. So the agenda for today, if you're just joining us, Patros is a Greek for father. And so the Patros Podcast is all about what it means to be a father and or father figure. And everything that we do is pointing back to our Heavenly Father, but you need an earthly representation of that a lot of times. And so JB is actually serving as that for a lot of our dads in the preservation side. So we're excited to chat with you. But tell us, man, before we get to what you do with Man Up, who's JB?
I don't know how I'm going to live up to this intro y'all gave me, man. This is awesome. So who is JB? I'm a dad of 3 beautiful kids. I'm a husband, and I'm just a God-fearing man. That's it. Pretty simple. So,
well, in Uganda, they would say, "I'm a husband of one woman." So we always have to say,
"A husband of one woman."
I'm a husband of one woman.
Okay,
yes,
no,
one woman.
That.
One woman.
You grew up in the Tampa area, right?
Yes.
Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Native.
I am that rare case that I've like third generation Floridian, so I'm really rare.
Did you grow up Hillsborough or Pinellas?
Hillsborough.
Okay.
So my mom's here, my grandma was here, my great grandma was here.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
So what got you into this space, like this part of working in this industry of with Man Up in Tampa Bay?
Jeff. That's it. That's how I got in here, Jeff.
Yeah.
But
there's plenty of people that know Jeff that won't enter. Dare enter into fatherhood preservation.
They're not coming into this space.
Exactly.
But your background suited you for the position.
Yeah.
Yes. So my background, a little bit about me. My dad was not in my life growing up, and so I really never had like a dad, mirror model what it looks like to be a dad in the household. And so for me, I looked at, the television dad. So the Uncle Phils of the world, the Carl Winslow's,
they raised those
as the dads that way too.
We watch the same shows, by the way.
Yeah, you learn a lot.
I know all those
Sadly,
dads.
we learned a lot from Bill Cosby. I took away a lot of good stuff from Bill Cosby.
We can say good Bill Cosby?
On the Cosby Show, I mean, I didn't learn anything behind the scenes. I just learned on TV.
The Huxtables.
Yeah.
And so I've always, felt it was a need, being, the youngest of 7. So it's my brother is the oldest, and I have 5 sisters in the middle, so it's a big old sandwich. That's kind of us. And so never really, had like a father figure in the household, but I had coaches. I played a lot of sports growing up, baseball, football, basketball. And so those were my, surrogate fathers.
Yeah.
And so when I met Jeff, in the 5 a.m. club, and this,
we got to talk about the 5 a.m. club a little bit.
We have to talk about the 40-day challenge.
We do have to get up
after he's presenting himself.
40-day challenge. But it was like a whirlwind. And so when the opportunity came up that I can be in the role of the father preservation and be this like modeling for dads and what it looks like to be a father, because I'm not perfect. I know y'all made me out the MVP, but I make a lot of mistakes.
We didn't say MVP doesn't have perfect in it. It's most valuable. We didn't say most perfect.
And when I meet dads, I let them know, like, hey, I make mistakes every day. And so, hey, we're going to do this together. I'm going to come alongside you shoulder to shoulder, and we're going to work through it, step by step, one at a time. So,
wow. Yeah. That's powerful. There has to be so much to, like, the redemptive aspect of your upbringing not involving your father, and yet you're now engaged in having fathers, just do what you wish your dad probably.
I wish he did. And so, 30 years later, we did reconcile, me and my father.
That's great.
Before, he passed last year.
Okay.
And we did actually get some time together. And so that was really good, just kind of making it full circle that way.
For sure.
And trying to get this story of, what went on that made you, want to leave and, you didn't stay there. And, hearing this story, how, the trials and the tribulations he goes through, what made him not be there. And a lot of things that my dad struggled with today, same thing my dad 30 years ago struggled with too, that made him want to leave, because he felt that the system would take care of everything. If I'm not there, you can get no food stamps, you'll get no Section 8.
Oh, it was like the incentivization of a father not being in the home. Yeah,
it's you'll be better off if I just get out of the picture and let y'all have it. And now trying to 30 years later, trying to impart upon the dads now, hey, it's more beneficial for a child that you being there.
Yeah.
And day in and day out, even though you're going to be struggling, it's going to be hard, but you being there and him seeing that, male or female, that child knows that he has a loving, engaged father. So,
yeah, it's better to be broke and in hardship with a loving father and family than it is to be wealthy with not.
Amen.
Yeah.
But you always see that. That's what's interesting to me on the team. You've got, I bet, at least 50%, and it may be upwards of 60, 2 out of 3, grew up without a dad in the home. And we have so many people that we talk to all the time that our message resonates with them because their dad was not in the home. Both of you guys, your dad was not in the home growing up. My dad was there, and I knew he loved me kind of. I with all respect to my dad, he was there for me and he provided for the family. And I think he did the best that he could.
He loved you in the ways that he had capacity.
Had capacity. Yeah. But I was definitely missing that kind of emotional, vulnerable, spiritual, like that, all of that. And he tried. I'm trying to be very respectful because I think he tried. But there were things that were just missing that really impacted some of the decisions I made and the choices that I made. And so, you know, so you have those on the team who didn't have fathers growing up who are like, man, no, this is not going to happen on my watch. Like, I'm going to make sure I'm doing it and I'm going to help others. And then you got some other us where we're like, yeah, I had a dad. And some of them, there's like, they had great dads and everything, but some of them were like, there was still a void. And that's why we always want to push people to a heavenly dad because we know we're not perfect, to your point, right? And so it's like, hey, I'm going to fail, but just know this, there is one who never fails. And whatever ideal you have in your head, he exists, you know?
That's good.
Right? But he, you know, you have to recognize that he's there. And that's what we're all about.
I didn't know we're going to have church today. Go ahead.
Hey, have y'all heard that? Have y'all heard that song by that boy? The one that wrote the song for, like, his dad not being around?
I think I know what you're talking about, but that's pretty
The kid
broad.
with the guitar?
That one kid with
The
that
one
one
with
song.
the guitar. I'll look it up, but let's talk.
There's like a trillion
I'm going to look it
songs.
up, but let's talk 40-day challenge, starting with Jotabe.
All right. So 40-day challenge is going
beast.
great. And so what I was going to stop doing was sugar. I'm a huge sugar fiend. Love the pastries, love cupcakes, love cake, pies, you name it. Big sugar fiend. So stopping that. And so detoxing off sugar has had its challenge at the beginning. Massive headaches. Got the shakes. Had the shakes. But the journaling.
Not milkshake.
But the journaling helped with that whole process of getting over the sugars. But now everything's so much sweeter now. Yeah. So, I mean, fruit now really tastes like candy.
Yeah,
you know, chicken's sweeter, the steak's sweeter, vegetables. So I love it. I think I'm going to stick with it. And so loving it.
So you stopped the sugar, and then did you start journaling?
I started journaling.
Okay. And how was the journaling going?
Journaling's been really good. Really get to kind of encap the day, kind of catalog everything that, you know, I did at work, not only, you know, personal, but also, you know, professionally, and also like things that I want my kids to look back on, things we went through that way, so that my son, my daughters can look back and say, oh, Dad, you were going through this. We thought you were fine, but it's been really eye-opening, and I can't wait to share it with them.
That's good.
Yeah, there's something about journaling, like even just, I mean, we wouldn't have history, we wouldn't have the scriptures if people weren't committed to like documenting.
Writing it down, man. It can be in your head until it's down on paper. It's kind of not real.
Exactly.
So for me, my start in this, and for those of you who are just joining us, we had a team challenge, which was to start something that we haven't been doing that would be healthy for us, and so 40 days in, you know, that's the goal, and then stop doing something that maybe wasn't the best, right? And then 10 minutes of vigorous exercise, which I do want to talk to you about. For me, the no coffee thing, I mean, I'm doing it. Still haven't had any coffee. It is definitely not as fun of a life. And it's not caffeine, to be clear, because I do decaf coffee anyway. In the morning, I would say 2 out of 3 coffees are decaf, but in the morning they're always decaf. So it's not like a wake me up thing. It's just an experience thing. I like sitting down with coffee. The tea is like, it's an experience. It's like a 4 out of 10, you know.
I love my tea.
I know you like your tea.
With my fathers now have my tea. It's very nice. I mean, the presidents.
Isn't it calming? It's calming, right?
It's smooth. It's calming. You can just sip on it. It just marinates. It definitely passes the time for you.
It does, but not as well as coffee passes the time for you.
There is something to coffee. Like I don't even know if I genuinely like coffee, but there's just an essence to it.
It's a vibe, dude.
Yeah.
It's just the smell and the process. Now, don't get me wrong, tea drinkers, there is a whole and I've learned to respect it too. How you have
it's good for your gut.
Yeah, you boil it, and I got about a 5-minute soak on my
tea.
So coffee guys, so what brew are y'all like?
Nah, I don't even. That's
Colombian.
That's way past.
That's
where
too
I'm
far.
at.
No, just regular.
If it's Cuban coffee though, I'm with it.
I do like the Cuban coffee is good for your espresso. I like it.
Yeah.
But I do decaf. So
true.
You know, it's like I like it a little lighter, generally speaking. But yeah, there's something about like a little cortado with in the afternoon. Just it hits home, man.
Is it just coffee? So y'all like it black, or y'all get a little cream, little
Bro,
sugar?
I like café con leche, or I want a cafecito typically that has some sugar in it. So
sweet cream vanilla cold brew.
Oh yeah, if it's if it's Starbucks, we're talking sweet cream vanilla cold brew.
What about your 4-day challenge?
40-day challenge. I've just committed the Bible verses. Memorizing them is gonna have to be a year-long thing.
Oh, wow.
It just is.
Okay.
I have to be honest with myself.
Okay.
But I've been killing it with not eating like the processed stuff. I mean, I guess maybe coffee's kind of processed, but like getting rid of bread, rice, any of that stuff, like I've impressed myself.
Okay.
Because even when I cook pasta for the kids and my wife, I always, take a bite to see, is it al dente? Is it ready? Is it not? And I'll chew on it and spit it out. Like, I'm at that level of self-control where I'm like, I try it, chew on it, I'm like, okay, it's ready, or it's not ready yet. I'll go to the trash can, spit it out. And I'm just like, yo, I would never be able to do this.
I mean, kudos to you. You're getting 1 out of 2 of your.
Yeah, that's a hard one to get.
It is a hard one.
That's hard. Because, I'll go through, like, if there's no just meat or fruit around and everything's processed, I'm just like, I guess I'm not going to eat till 9 o'clock tonight.
So it's like a paleo diet or just no sugar?
I don't even have a name for it. I think I'm just doing like meat, eggs, chicken, maybe like protein, and fruit.
It sounds paleo.
Yeah, that's paleo. Yeah, I don't even know.
Stay away from like the center aisles, which is actually.
I don't even need to. I'm just.
But no. I mean, like you could the diet that you're doing is
outside aisle.
Outside aisles, which is a good policy anyway.
Like protein shake, I'm doing protein shake with grass-fed whey, and then I'm throwing. But if I do want some flavor, organic vanilla bean extract.
Okay, all right.
But that's natural. You know what I'm saying?
It's organic.
I'm figuring out like the natural stuff.
I appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about the vigorous exercise. One of the things that we tout on the Patros Podcast is, if you're a dude tuning in, that my pitch on this is that everybody needs a 5 a.m. club. Now,
facts.
The 5 a.m. club does not have to happen at 5 a.m. Okay.
Yeah, it could be a 7 p.m. club.
That's Jinx, you owe me a Coke. Blackout. That's what my kids do to me. It's not a Coke, though. It's a Zevia. Jinx, you owe me a Zevia. So you know what they drink in our house.
I'll give you a coffee.
They drink Zevia. But let's talk about, like, just quickly, because that's you and I met at the 5 a.m.
That's how we met. The genesis.
Tell the folks why does every man need a 5 a.m.
Wait, how did you guys meet at it? Like, did you just both walk to the same garage and be like, whoa?
I was at a birthday party.
Okay.
And so I was standing off to the side, and another father approached me. He's like, "You like your workout?" I was like, "Yeah, a little bit. I got a little home gym, work out a little bit."
He said a little bit. Dude's repping 405.
He's just like, can you imagine someone coming up to you, "Hey, you like to work out?"
If somebody approaches you about working out, you probably push weight.
Yeah,
like you push weight.
A little bit. I was like, "Yeah, we have this, 5 a.m. club. A couple dads get along, a little military."
He was evangelizing.
Yes,
but for the 5 a.m.
Yeah, for the 5 a.m. club. Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, if you ain't got nothing to do 5 in the morning, why don't you come join us?" And I was like, it was November, just met a guy, birthday party, seemed friendly. I'm like, I'm all right. So joined it, and ended up we were at Raul's gym, was the first gym. We're at working out with Doc's house, and then that has migrated over to Jeff's house now. Now Jeff's house, way different vibe
Jeff's
than
corner.
Raul's house. It's kind of ratchet up another notch.
Really?
We really get into it.
Well, cause y'all got more space with your yard, like front yard.
We got a little more space, like out in the front. There's a little more
y'all
room.
Doing a little 40-yard dash on the street.
We do have the 100-yard.
We do.
We had the 100-yard sprint day, so that was like 50 down, 50 back is what we would do. So that was challenging. When you sprint, man, it'll get your heart rate
I
up.
think there's a crazy stat of like 95% of people will not sprint after the age of 30.
Oh, really?
Will not sprint.
Well, we're in the
ever.
top 5%.
Well, you got to stretch the hammies.
I'm going to look it up.
Make sure you stretch the hammies.
We're definitely in the top 5%.
Yeah.
Stretch the hammies.
But no, what's the benefit of it, though? Because it's not just working out.
I mean, it's definitely the brotherhood. Being there with other guys, just chopping it up, and just, the normal day, the day grind that other fathers go through the same way that you go through, and knowing that you have another brother at arms that can share in your pain. And also, celebrate with you and your passion. So it's awesome.
And we have on Fridays. Friday is bench Friday. So we tone it down a little bit. Yep. We don't do the full workout.
Bench day.
Just do our bench day.
Just ego lift.
Yeah, it's an ego lift. It's curls for the girls. And then we do coffee. Of course, you and I are doing tea right now, but I make coffee for the boys. And then we go on the back porch and we talk about life. And we at one point we were doing a book club.
How long does this take?
Well, it's about an hour workout. Of course, everybody gets there late, so it's like a
45-minute
workout.
Yeah.
But on Fridays we'll go an hour and a half or so.
Okay.
Just because we're just hanging and we're talking about life and whatever is the hot topic. Of course the presidency.
Yeah.
Is in politics is always up there. We've got a buddy from Syria who kind of like schools us on the Middle East. Really interesting. So we got. It's not all Republicans or believers.
Your boy Elon giving the old German high.
Yeah. Poor guy needs to think twice about his hand motions.
He was saying he was trying to give him his heart. That's what he was giving the heart. My heart goes to you.
But when you have
I have 9 hearts.
When you have issues, you sometimes don't express them in a way that
for
is
sure,
clear
for
for others.
No, I'm just messing with you.
Very true, because when I got introduced to the 5 a.m. Club with the coffee, because I wasn't a big coffee drinker growing up, 'cause I figured I needed. Raul, the doc, was in there. He was like, "Oh, we'll put this white stuff in here." I'm like, "What are you putting in the coffee?"
Creatine?
He said, "Don't worry about it. Just drink it. It don't taste like nothing."
This is like the first time there. And it's like, don't worry
That
about
would be
it.
Raul.
Just drink it.
Like,
don't worry
it's
about
good
it.
for you.
Just go ahead and drink it. It's good for you.
It's just collagen, but
Yeah. Oh, it's collagen.
Put some white stuff into
Put white stuff in your coffee.
He's like,
powder.
I don't even want to drink this.
He's just like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
He whispers in his ear.
But no, man, it's been a real blessing, and I always want to encourage folks to. You got to find, and especially for men, I think for women too, but I think men are less inclined to find their tribe. And if they do find a tribe, a lot of times it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Men are, I think, more prone to the lone wolf syndrome, where they will just sit at home and they got a problem. They're not going to tell anybody about it. They're embarrassed. They got shame. They'll wear it on their, just internally until that stress and anxiety sometimes explodes into domestic violence, into doing something.
Yeah, you
to
need
the
to
kids.
channel that in a healthy place. Yeah.
And it really does for my family. The couple of days that y'all skipped this week, my daughter was like, "Dad, what's going on? Like, you didn't give me my morning affirmations and my good luck to go to school." And I'm like, "Yeah, because the guys kind of quit on me, so I had to do a solo mission."
Yeah.
You didn't have the good vibes going.
So my household, when I don't do the 5 a.m.,
off.
it messes up everybody.
It messes
everything. Because I also cold plunge after that too, as well. So we get a little walking with the wife, kind of cool down, then I jump in the tub.
It's like a whole thing.
Thing.
Look at you
Get
guys.
your day started.
Gotta get the day started right, Alan. I've been trying to tell you this.
Yep.
Can't
It's
stay
hard
up
to
till
start
1
the day when you already flow into the next day.
Yeah, you can't stay up till 1 a.m., man. It's bad for you.
It's gonna be a good
bad
day.
for your
Alan.
health.
Be a good
Well,
day.
I was getting there, and then we had a newborn,
That's
and so
true.
now it's all off.
You're back into
Congratulations.
it. You have
appreciate it.
You have a excuse.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into a little bit about.
But by the way, 95% is correct.
Oh, that was the right
Yeah,
number?
95% of people will not sprint after the age of 30.
Yeah.
That's
Probably 'cause they
statistics.
can't.
or they're too scared to.
We're in top
because
5%.
everybody starts when they're like 25, start saying like, "Bro, I'm just getting old, my joints," and it's just like, no, you're
now,
just
granted,
not working
it's
hard.
not a real fast sprint compared to
Yeah,
what
you're
it
not
used
running,
to be,
Yeah,
but it is at least more than a jog.
yeah, you can give it the old college try,
Give it the old
as
college try.
some would say. All right, let's hop into.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this idea of coaching in a preservation manner. I think I think if you've been following the series at all, one of the interesting things is seeing about kind of getting pulling the curtain back on the child welfare system and pulling the curtain back on like how they interact with it, how parents interact with it, how children interact with it, what do they have to go through, and then what are the agencies out there trying to do something about it, and then quite frankly, what are men doing about it? Men in the church, are we discipling these kids? Are we taking a vested interest? And, we want to be doing that, in the state of Florida and other states as well. The government has realized we're not going to be able to solve these problems.
Yep.
You've got 24 million fatherless kids, 1 in 4 growing up in the United States without a dad. The government's like, what do you want us to do?
Well, and then you have to like hire out how much staff to be able to do any of that.
Yeah.
And then,
So the state of Florida, they've got a really strong partnership with the faith community, and it's all faiths. They're not just Christians, but obviously Christians, we have a mandate, and so Christians,
correct.
We have stepped up in large part.
We manned up.
We manned up.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And part of that is in the preservation side. So maybe just tell the folks what do you do? What's the day? What could a random day look like for you?
I can tell you what today looked like. So today morning, after we worked out, had my cold plunge, got a text message from my father. We were going to meet today because he's about to get evicted. He's behind on his rent, wasn't able to catch back up, and so he needs a place to kind of hang his head. But he did find a job. And so he's working now. He's been working for the last 2 weeks, so he got a couple of checks in there.
Sweet.
But not enough to put, a down payment on, getting into an apartment that way or catch back up because how far he's behind, because he was probably behind a good 2-3 months behind the rent. And so just talking to him, letting him know, hey, man, it's okay. And we were fortunate enough to be able to help him with some hotel stay for a couple of weeks, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Because just the stress of just not knowing where you're going to hang your hat at, where you're going to get, away from the cold, was like just a sigh of relief from him. And so, we hugged, we loved on each other right there, in the parking lot, so you drove by, you just see, these two men,
two grown men hugging
hugging on each other. But he was really just, so thankful that we were there for him in his time of need. And I think a lot of guys are scared to really open up that way to another man,
for sure,
because we all got to be macho, we got to be strong, and nothing hurts us, we're granted. And it was really just comforting that he was able to open up to me that way. And so that was my morning this way. So
the guys that you interact with are oftentimes resistant, I think. Right. What do you find are their excuses, and then what do you find finally draws them in, like where they go, man, I actually need some help here?
It's uncertainty, because a lot of times, as you mentioned, Care Portal, they'll have a case manager that's working with them. They kind of help them, stay in the lives of their kids, and they'll say, oh, well, they just need help with groceries. And that was it. And then I'll go talk to the father and kind of get to the heart of this. Hey, well, let's go get some groceries. Let's go to Publix. Let's go get some things. It's like, we'll sit there and we'll talk, and just from general rapport, they really start to open up. And it's like, man, what's really going on is like, I'm about to lose my job, and I need to make rent, and my kid's birthday's coming up, and I want to be able to give something for them, and I need just more than just groceries. They need a lot more of that, and they just need to open up to them.
The groceries are a symptom of what they actually need.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was gonna camp on that for a second, because you said something that I think every man can relate to. I know I can, and I wanted to just delve into it a bit. We tend to think that we can handle everything, and so I have done this where someone would ask me, what's going on or whatever it is that I need, and I might say, just X, right? When really it's the whole kitchen sink, like I'm giving you just a small part. Yeah. And some of that I think we're called to do as men, to shoulder like the responsibility. Like
there's a balance of that.
Yeah. It's like you don't want to let your family know that you may be kicked out in 3 days and have them freak out, So part of that is just as a man, you got to bear that. But then you do need to have an outlet. So I'm just curious in asking you guys, why do we do that? Why do we as men tend to try to think we can do it all? Why do we wait till the last second before we ask for help?
You want that?
Because we're men, right? We're men. We got to do it. That's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
We're the dads. We're out there. We're men. I think just a real false narrative that we put out there that men don't cry, men don't need to cry, and they can do it all. And we really need to have that lion and lamb mentality that sometimes we need to be soft or be in our feminine state and be there and be vulnerable to another man. Yeah. No Diddy, but just keep it all.
Not that vulnerable.
Keep it all above board, because a lot of guys they weren't raised that way or ever seen it, mirrored for them, so they don't know how to react in that venue. So.
Yeah, my take on it, I feel like has shifted. Like I've always been like, men need to be more vulnerable, and I believe that. I believe men need to be vulnerable. I think it's like you and Stephanie are CEO and COO, right? If y'all saw like, hey, we're kind of light on funds right now, we gotta figure something out. you wouldn't go around telling all the employees that.
Right.
You might tell some development guys, hey, we got to pick it up. You might tell, like admin maybe, like, let's move these things around because we're, but you wouldn't tell your whole fatherhood team or your whole, adopt a family team, like, we don't know if we're going to be able to keep everybody this year.
Right.
You just figure it out.
What you saying?
Well, I might know a couple of things. I'm blowing the whistle, so I'm letting you know. No, but for real, like, naturally, you would shoulder that burden, and you wouldn't throw that on everybody because that's not for them to carry. And in the same way, a father is the CEO of his home, or him and his wife are they're joint leaders.
The executive team.
Yeah, they're the executive team, and how that fleshes out, everybody has their own philosophies on as far as like egalitarian, complementarian. But that's what I believe is like you have to have some capacity for shouldering something and not having to throw it onto the people that aren't supposed to have that burden. But then you also have to have a capacity for vulnerability in other states. And I think that that's what men haven't been taught, is how to compartmentalize those. Instead, what we do is, I'm just always going to be isolated emotionally.
Well, I think that's in trust. Like, you got to have a brotherhood of guys you actually can, like, confide in.
Yeah.
That are not going, like, snaky, go behind your back. That way, guys you can really, that have your, genuine. They really want to be there for and really help and support you, like, in the right way. And I think that's part missing, too, because a lot of guys now, especially in this world, are just, looking to, stab somebody in the back. And so, really finding good brotherhood.
Even like what you said, like, with your dad, and I know that you respect your dad. We've had private conversations, like, you respect your dad, but that doesn't mean that, every parent has their faults. Right. So it's not like it's just him. But there's that aspect, right, of like, had he had the brotherhood that gave him that opportunity to be able to give you the emotional side of him. But some men can't separate the two. So if I'm always having to close off like what's really important and pressing to me right now, how do I then open up vulnerably to my son or my daughter, And so it's like that. I feel like that's a skill that's hard to balance and that men are learning to.
Yeah, and I would say when I think about my dad, I can't think, like, I don't recall seeing other dudes at the house.
Yeah.
Like his peers.
Yeah, who are the bros calling him out on like, hey, bro, like, go handle that. Like, go talk to your son.
I don't remember any of that. And, you see my son. How many times is he out there working out with us? Like, quite a bit.
Your son wants to go work.
Especially over the break and stuff.
He gets it in.
But, like, he's always wanting to, and even when we do the chat around, the coffee, and it's just the men sitting down, he wants to be there. He wants to, like, hear what men are talking about. He wants to see how men are handling their business. And that's what I didn't see any of that. Yeah. And I think in part my dad didn't know.
Maybe he didn't see any of that.
He might, and that's exactly right. And sometimes, and I wanted to ask you this because for some guys listening, we get like hyper judgmental about when we hear, oh, you're behind on rent. Well, just go work, dude. Like, go get a job. And
we don't. That snowball effect is real.
So I could speak on that. Yeah. So some guys are hourly, and so we had the holidays just come up too. So business is shut down. So if you're an hourly employee, you were getting 40 hours and everything was good. You got some overtime, but when business shuts down, they're shutting down. You're not getting 45, 50 hours. You're getting 20. And now if you didn't budget right for this short season, you're going to be out.
Or if your head gasket blew and you weren't thinking that you're going to have whatever that costs, like, it's really easy for that stuff to pile up on somebody.
When it piles up on me.
Yeah.
Like, it piles up on me.
Yeah. If you have people with dual incomes are living paycheck to paycheck in the U.S. right now with good jobs, like 6-figure jobs, and people are still like, I'm trying to figure it out.
It happens. That's what I'm saying. It's not because when you make more money, all you do is increase your lifestyle. That's what 99 out of 100 do. They just spend more. So we all know, like, but I think the difference is some of us, once you get to a certain level, you have access to capital. You have access to relationships. You have
or your credit is good. You've been able to pay off cards, so now you're not at a 500 credit score. Because then it becomes hard too. Like, you don't have something to put. Like, you can't get a loan out to help you in the emergency. Right. Because if you have bad credit, and then now if you have bad credit, you got to pay first month, last month for the rent. You can't just go into
your interest rates are a lot higher.
Life just becomes hard.
I think when we think of those dads, though, but a lot of them did not have that example for them. And so if you don't have the example for you, so speak to that, JB, when you talk to these dads who they didn't have the example, what does that look like for them? Because what I'm trying to do is paint a picture of,
sure.
Number one, the Florida has invested a lot of money into the Fatherhood Initiative, $70 million year over year to say, hey, we think fatherhood is important. We cannot see 1 in 4 kids growing up without a dad.
Yeah. Every
negative statistic out there, you can funnel it back to not having a father in the home. So we're going to invest in that. But I think like what is the importance of that dad, and how do we overcome not having it generationally? Like, how are we breaking that cycle? What are you seeing in the day and dad?
Well, let's break it down. You said take out a loan. So some of the dads I work with don't even have a bank account.
Yeah.
So they don't know where the bank's at. So they usually go to a check cashing place.
You go to AmSky, just get
go to AmSky. And so you're saying, well, go take out a loan. They give you that sideways look like, what you?
I don't even got credit.
What are you talking about?
It's not even a bad credit score. It's just no credit score.
Because they're ill-informed. And I think that's where the financial literacy comes in, and just helping, dads and fathers out that way. And so we do a financial literacy, session with the dads, breaking down their budget for them, because they really never had, brought inside, the behind the curtain, where the parents are breaking down the bills. This is how much you bring in, this is how much you spend out, and this is how we divvy up everything. And they never seen that before, and so they don't really know when they're thrust into, I'm a dad now, got a newborn here. How do we make ends meet? And so teaching them, how do you budget? What's important, prioritizing things for them is definitely eye-opening, because a lot of things we take for granted, like, oh, just go get a loan, you get it like that. They're like, huh, what?
A loan?
For real?
Yeah.
Like, budget? Why? Like, if I want to see it, go get it or put it on the credit card. I'm like, that's
or they're on the other side, right? Like, they get a loan and it's one of those loans that are predatory that's like 300%. Because I've had friends do that where they take a $2,000 loan and they've paid $6,000 on it and they still owe $2,000. Like, yeah, so I can imagine that financial literacy plays a huge role. Wow, that's cool.
Buy here, pay here places,
Yeah,
they get them.
Wow.
And then what would you say, if we're thinking about like the snowballing effect of that, you kind of talked about it, right? So now if a dad, misses a couple paychecks, now he was already, tight to begin with. An emergency had already come up, right? Whether it's the car needed new tires or whatever happened, it could be a number of we have
got
those,
sick,
right? There's a medical bill that's anything could happen. What is that pathway then to him like potentially losing his kids?
That way, because everyone defaults to what they know, and so some guys that grew up in different neighborhoods, when things get tight and they need to go make some money, they do other things.
You do certain things that get you in more trouble.
Things get more trouble, but that's what's the only thing they've known.
Yeah, like, it's quick money.
It's quick money. Let me go get it.
And you don't got to pay taxes on it.
And so that's how that happens too. But what will happen when they get behind on like rent? That way too, when they get evicted. Now you have kids that are out in the street now way. And how do we provide for them that way? Because their checks are not coming in. They're already behind on rent, and now they have an eviction notice. And once you get an eviction notice, it's almost impossible now to get, into a new rental home. Yeah. That way too. And so it just puts them so far behind the 8 ball. And so they're kind of lost. So.
Wow.
Are the the scripture is in Proverbs somewhere where he says, Lord, don't make me so poor that I'm begging, like I'm stealing, and don't make me so rich that I forget about you. And I think about if I was in that situation where, everything was taken from me and I didn't have income coming in and I have bills to pay, mouths to feed. I'd probably do some, like you have to do what you have to do to get by. And I think about that choice of like morality where I know that this is not the right thing to do. Like, and let's call a spade a spade. Some of these dads are they're going to go deal. Yeah. Right. They're going to deal drugs and get that quick money because they're behind and they got bills to pay. And, I think that our first inclination is to judge them, right, and say, like, what's wrong with you? But I look at it as that's, of course, what you're going to do. Yeah. And I think, so how do we build more empathy in kind of the dads, men who are from the outside looking in, who they're working for, Raymond James, or they're working for,
or just normal, like blue collar jobs that you just,
and they got their stuff together. How do we get those guys to understand a little bit? I mean, what do you think? What have you seen?
I mean, it's really tough because even if they don't go, the street way, right, and they're really trying to like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go back to street life. I'm going to do it the right way. The late fees, they start to mount up too. So let's say $500 is
collections,
but now with late fees, now it's up to $1,000, and it just keeps over and over and over again. They can make a little bit payment. They can't make the full payment. They can make partial payments.
Yeah.
But that increases another late fee, and so it gets so big that like now it's affecting groceries in the house. Now they can't pay utilities now. So now there's no light, there's no water.
Yeah.
And so they're able to like stay in the house, the rental house, but they can't do the necessities. And that's when DCF get called. Like, oh, these kids, their clothes stink. They haven't got clothes to wash. Or the kids come, they look like something's wrong. They look malnourished.
Yeah.
And that's how they get put back into the system. And it's just, that's what we try to keep them from.
I didn't grow up with much. Like food stamps, all that, whatever.
Cheese,
yeah, single mother, all that stuff. Immigrant mother, didn't have any education in the United States, all that. But she figured out the system. Yeah. Like she figured out food pantries. She figured out food stamps, et cetera, et cetera. And some of this, do you think some of it is how people react to trauma? And then also, not that they don't have resources, but that they're not necessarily resourceful because they haven't been taught how to be resourceful. Would you say some of it's that? Because like accumulated debt is bad. It's bad for everybody. But maybe some of them don't even know, like, oh, by the way, you could settle that debt. Like you can talk to that company and say, hey, I can't pay you $4,000, but I could give you $1,000. Can we settle? So like, is some of that literacy helping them understand like how to be more resourceful?
Yeah, having the system work for you and educating guys that way definitely is a huge benefit. But it's always the big three we struggle with. So housing,
housing
is one, transportation, and then jobs. So that was always the big three for the dads.
Okay.
And usually, most dads can function with like one or two of those. They can kind of get by. Like, I got a job, I got a place to live, but I don't have transportation. So they can kind of make it work. They'll either get a bike or they'll walk, they'll catch a bus, but they can kind of make it work. Yeah. But it's when you lose all three.
That's when it's
super tough, and it's just, they need a life raft. They need a life jacket.
And is the system, because I know like I've known of moms that, they'll be at a shelter, but they still have the kids because the system doesn't necessarily say, hey, impoverished means danger. They say like, hey, but you still love your kids are good, they could stay with you at the shelter.
Yeah, but they have that for women, but for men,
that's what I was going to ask.
It doesn't exist. Or if they do have it, it's very minimum. So let's say a normal shelter has like 50 beds, they'll probably give 7 to the dads with kids that way.
Wow.
All the rest go to women. And so
wow. Yeah.
They fill up really quick. And so like a dad I'm working with now, he lives in an efficiency. So an efficiency is when you
like an extra room of a house.
And so he has like a little kitchenette, has a little half bathroom and a bedroom. And that's all he has. And that's him and his son living in there. And it's tough. And like, you can tell like the pride kicks in when I come visit the guy, and like he doesn't want like me to enter into his house, and I get it. And it's like, I'm like, hey man, like I'm a dad too. I understand like what you're going through, and it's like they're prideful. Yeah, they don't want you to see them at their lowest. But at least he has housing. Like some of the dads, they don't have that.
Wow.
And so they're like covered that. Like, man, I wish I had an efficiency.
Yeah.
And so like he's paying $1,000 a month to live in efficiency. So a room, a kitchenette, and a toilet.
Crazy.
And that's it. Him and his son.
And do you see a lot of, because the other aspect to this is like support system, right? Like we talked about earlier, you didn't grow up with your father, but you come from a generation of people in Tampa Bay, right? And so you have a support system, a family system that supports you. How many of these guys don't even have grandma around or mom around either? Like that they could, hey mom, I got to get back on my feet. Can I move back in just for a little bit, stack up? Is that like, are most of them from out of, like?
Yeah, there's I had a dad before. He was out of state, from Indiana. Came down. Him and his girl, it didn't work out, and then they went in the splits. But he was in better shape than she was to keep the kid that way. But he was bouncing from the hotel to hotel to make ends meet that way, and they're like, that's no way to live for like a kid, going hotel to hotel that way.
For sure.
And he was getting in and out like odd jobs here and there, but nothing really like stable and consistent. Yeah. And it's super hard when you don't have a support system, like you said, like a grandma or auntie or uncle.
Like if worst came to worst, I have family that I could take my family to and we could stay. Yeah. It'd be tight, but And I can only imagine some of these guys don't even have that.
Mm-hmm. And some dads like do have that. So say they do have a support system, but they probably burnt those bridges. And so they can't even reach out to auntie or uncle anymore because they done went to that well so many times and the well is dry now.
Got you.
Because, of sometimes no mistake of their own. Sometimes they just got dealt a bad hand.
And family wants to basically teach a lesson of like, look, you can't keep doing this. You got to figure it out now. Wow.
Very true.
So I think as we kind of the last, kind of 5-7 minutes we have here, a couple questions that I would love to ask and get perspective on. Number one would be, if you're talking, if someone from another state is viewing this and they're kind of trying to get information on the Florida Fatherhood bill and all that it has done, I'd love to know what are the positive things that you've seen, like the dollars that have come down from the state. How has it impacted the lives of fathers and their children in what you think is a lasting and meaningful way? So that's question one. And question two would be around what can men who are quote unquote better off, right? I'm talking about the guys that supposedly got it together. What would you like to see them contribute to these dads? Like you see the problems because you're seeing problem after problem. You see the problems.
Yeah.
What can fathers, but men do in the community, even if it's not mentoring or coaching, but what can they do? I mean, maybe that is obviously a big thing, but are there other things that can be done from that group?
So the first question, how the bill has helped, definitely feeding kids, getting grocery and rich, nutritious food, because it's a lot of processed foods out there that you that you've kind of got out of your diet now. But that
WIC pisses me off. I'm sorry. WIC is so I love I've used it, I appreciate it, but these companies have figured out how to usurp WIC, because WIC gives you free, you get a free gallon of juice per kid, right? Now what they're doing is they're changing the sizes of the bottle, of the jugs, where it's not a gallon, it's 58 ounces. So now, that organic juice you could have got that I used to get with WIC no longer works because it's not the right amount of ounces. They figured out how to not. But yeah, so of a dad trying to just feed his kids.
Big juice.
Not just juice though, peanut butter. Everybody's doing it. They're changing the sizes of their products so that WIC doesn't cover it. Or at least that's a conspiracy, okay? I'm not gonna say that that's what y'all are actually doing. But sorry, my bad.
But what you said, the guys that kind of got it together. I mean, it's good to for my dads, the fathers, to kind of see that. You know what I mean? Hey, it's something to aspirationally to reach for, that it's obtainable, because a lot of them feel like they're in a bunker. There's no light, and I'm sitting there like, hey, man, we're just one step at a time. We'll get there. We'll get there. And so for them coming alongside another quote unquote dad that has it made, it lets them see it is real, it is attainable for them. And a lot of dads see it oh man, I can't fathom that. It's something that's on MTV, BET, crib like that. But letting a dad that I live 5 miles down the road, man. Hey, you can do it that way too. It really uplifts their spirit from what I've seen.
Wow.
Especially a project we had earlier this year. We tore down the barn, and we had some guys out there. Had guys that had means and that's without means, but they're all working side by side, shoulder to shoulder again, and it kind of humanizes everyone, makes everyone on the same playing field.
Wow. And
that's just an emotional boost for dads too, because hey, they're seen, they're heard, and so that's a big thing too.
Yeah, what I've seen a lot of is the peer-to-peer stuff that has evolved and come about from this, because it's one thing to face life on your own. We talked about that, the explosion in the background, the solo hero walking away from the explosion, and I'm all alone now and I did it, and that kind of that mentality in life. And what the peer-to-peer shows is, oh no, there are other dads, and I mean we've seen several of these guys really embrace that peer-to-peer stuff. What have you heard from anything that stick out, words that you've heard or any kind of, testimonies in terms of their appreciation of that?
One that comes to mind that was really vivid, and it was definitely a vibe. You had to be there. It's kind of hard to explain on the podcast world, let you in YouTube, but our India Christmas party that we had at the ranch that way, and it was just family, food, friends, and there was no judging. Everyone was courteous and kind. And for some of my like hardcore dads that like done time and everything, like just to see that, like, hey, like I can let my guard down and just be a kind, engaging, and like nurturing dad.
Wow.
Like that is like amazing. And like it's hard to like explain it. You have to experience it.
Yeah.
And you had to be there. And like we had the music going, the kids were playing games, like there was no fighting, no fussing, they had food, people laughing, getting to know each other. And like, we're talking people from like total different sides of the fence, different sides of the track, and they're just chopping it up like they known each other for years.
Yeah, wow,
it was a vibe.
Well, and that's when we think about the gospel, when we think about the message that Jesus, came to give, and you think about even the writings of Paul, he said, "There's no Jew, there's no Gentile, there's no male, there's no female, there's no slave, there's no free. Like, you are all equal." In Christ, and we have been made by our Creator. Even if you don't believe in Jesus, you don't believe the Bible, you don't believe any of that, okay, fine. But where's your ethos? Where's your anchor to say we are all equal and that we are all valuable? We have intrinsic worth. You don't really get that if you're buying into the whole evolution thing. I'm sorry, it's the strong survive. Now, whatever, like you can say, well, we've evolved so that now we take, that into account. I'm like, okay, well, what if you have the tyrant that, decides, well, I'm going to take over everybody, and he didn't learn that. Now everybody else is dead, and it worked for him, and the whole like be kind didn't work.
Yeah, morality is now defined by either the majority or the powerful.
Yeah.
If you don't have a moral system that's embedded for like that's deriving from a theological worldview.
Yeah, you just can't get there, and I'm not trying to make this all about theology, but I do think that
but it plays a role. It
plays a role. How we view ourselves, I think, whether people realize it or not, directly does come from how they view God. And one of the things that we try to get these dads to understand, what we are trying to understand ourselves. You guys know in our team meetings, every Tuesday we are trying to break down how we can be better stewards of the resources God has given us. We're trying to be better men, better women for the women on the staff. And a lot of that comes back to, hey, your identity is not based on how you parent, is not based on how you perform, it's not based on what car you drive or the clothes you wear, the house you live in. Your identity is based on the fact that God says he loves you, period. And when these dads can see that, I think is a game changer.
There's no try, only do or do not. No try.
There is no try.
That's good.
Yeah, we're not trying. So, JB, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it, and hopefully the folks listening in they've got a picture and hopefully some more empathy. I think it's one of the reasons we want to do that. Thinking about National Mentoring Month, and of course we always need mentors. We always need coaches who are willing to come in and say, let me just be there for a dude. And just so you know, 5 hours a month is better than 0 hours. And if you can even just take a phone call on your way home from work, if you can text a guy, or if he's in crisis. But I'm telling you, men in the church, we have got to step up, because these dads exist all over the place, and man up is not the answer.
Yeah,
like we're trying to do our part. Yeah. But the church is the answer. Yeah. The government has realized they're not the answer, and they need entities who are willing to give these dads a helping hand, right? Not a hand out, but a hand up. Yeah. And so much of that is connecting them to a 5 a.m. club, connecting them to a body.
It's continual, because that one-time help, it's good, but it doesn't really solve the problem. It's not relational. That's right. It's not. Like, you got to be the continual there. So 1 month, 2 months, be there for them. Yeah. And, the ask is smaller and smaller, but you have to be there. It's a continual part of it.
That's good.
That's right.
Yeah, I was listening to a debate between an atheist and a Christian the other day, but one of the things that the atheist conceded to was something that is unique to the Christian faith is the care for the vulnerable, for the oppressed, for the person. That's unique to the Christian faith that has impacted the entire world. Yeah. Where now generally everybody agrees we need to care for what Scripture will call the least of these, not in value but in perception, right? Yeah. So that is. And one thing that's been really resonating with me is that's a great truth, and I believe that, and I think a lot of people believe that. But what you believe means nothing if it is not applied. And that's, I think, my challenge to the people that are viewing, to any fathers that engage with Man Up, is you can intellectualize the Scriptures all you want, but if you don't actualize them, they mean nothing to you. Yeah. And that's what the scriptures are all about, right? That's what James says, faith without works is dead. So may we live out our faith and obedience to God by caring for those in our community. Appreciate you for coming on and just educating us on so much of what's going on with fatherhood preservation.
We're going to break it down, though, right? We're not just going to leave it like that, right? We're going to break it down.
Wait, what do you want?
You don't break. I mean, Ohio State just won. We don't break it down.
What
do you want to do?
Do we need one of these? Do we need OH?
I mean, usually
no.
No, we usually know. Man up on me, man up on three. We don't.
Here we
go. Okay.
Here we go.
All right. This is JB's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Man up on me, man up on three. 1, 2, 3.
Man up. Appreciate y'all. See y'all next time.